Previous.
My name is.
I'm actually live again now. I have a shit ton of things to do this stream. I guess we'll just do all of them. So I have these modes. Actually, hello. Yo, you're not ready to play this video. So the fat Jimmy here, he says that he's very good at CS:GO. Talented. No, he's not.
Since I started university, I took a geography course to learn the datelines and maybe use a sextant. But now I just press facsimiles. And you're exactly who you wanted to be. Well, that's what you said. 'Cause you wanna watch TV and sleep all day and lay in bed, but you're forgetting that I've got to go to work and eat my food and pay my rent and reproduce, then feed those kids and maybe use a sextant. I don't miss you. I miss the thought of what we were. 'Cause this is the part where I shut up and let you impress my brain. Wrap your arms around my cortex, kick you in and let you drain. You'll never get rid of me. Oh, I'm like a fucking disease. I'll make a home in your gut. 'Cause it's somewhere warm to sleep. And what was your thought when you realized you'll never feel naive love again? Was it pain or was it sickness? Were you proud of who you've been? The shine's waiting for his phone calls replaced by apathy and dating apps. You held his hand, it felt like flying. Now he's just another man. Would rather he was inside, beside you. He's talking marriage and a future. He's picking a lock he doesn't go into. His knife in a wound, he's a suture. I don't miss you. I miss the thought of what we were.
Hello. So sorry that took a while. Just some stuff has appeared. And yeah, but hi. Welcome to the stream. It's a grinding day. Why? 'Cause a short man needs his shit. I also have food because I woke up, I took a nap, and I almost missed dinner. Well, I'm sorry. We also just banned a bunch of people. Yeah, that's why everything came out really late. Found some things, so we just like banned a bunch of people. Sweetheart. I love her. my professor really liked my thing I made. Alright, there we go. I'm sorry that took a lot. But it's called This is not a fun thing to see. But also, yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. So I won't be here Monday or Sunday. But hey, it's fine. What the fuck was that name? Bro, just let me eat my food in peace, goddamn. Fuck. God damn it. Other shells, final level 90. And up books. I swear I meant to hit something else.
For Rex Lapis! Right now, right here.
I hate these fucking things.
A brash maneuver!
Fuck my life! I fucking hate you.
No touching.
I hate this so much.
Evil conquering.
I don't even care. The hatred I have for these things is very high.
Worthless.
I usually don't hate a lot of the
Emerge.
creatures in this
Right
game.
here. Emerge.
These fucks just happen to somehow get on my nerves.
Useless.
Kill that fucking thing, please! Thank God!
I will not.
I was talking about Miko's turret.
I had a feeling.
Emerge.
I'm going to actually lose my fucking shit. Oh cool, give me a fucking another one.
Worthless. Worthless.
Thinking of world domination.
Useless.
Oh cool, and they gave me a fucking cryo one. No thank you.
Right here.
Get the fuck out of my
Emerge.
face.
Right here. Rest and rebuild. This is long overdue.
Get out of my
Literally.
Hold the line. Right now.
It's a literally get the fuck out of my face type shit day.
useless. Evil conquering. Worthless.
I'll waste it.
Worthless. Here. Here.
Fuck you, bitch.
Next on the agenda.
That's a terrible time. Fuck. Gave me an electro damage cup, and I'm kind of losing my shit. This game literally said fuck you. Fine, I'll do it. Do the story. I might as well. I don't have to get up too early. I might as well just fucking purge that shit. I'm just gonna go around the bad guys. You don't see shit. I'm one with the bush.
It's been a while since we first set foot on Inazuma.
Yeah, no shit.
So many
Ah!
things have happened since then. Yeah, we've definitely made some progress on our journey.
Oh.
So, where should we go today? Huh? What's up?
Oh, I also found out Paimon,
What the heck was that for?
that Paimon fucking annoys the shit out of people in this
Doesn't wanna
quest.
die.
Ah! Fuck!
Let's convince him to calm down a little.
Hey friend, hey buddy friend pal, let's not do that right now, please. I fucking missed. Yeah, bitch ass moved at the wrong time.
Access denied. Right here. Emerge. Right here.
The fuck?
Huh? So you don't have a vision after all?
No,
Seems like I've mistaken you for someone else.
I don't.
At the very least, you should make sure you've got the right person before you go attacking them. No, wait. Even when you've got the right person, you shouldn't go attacking them out of the blue. It's dangerous.
Have you
Sounds
ever
like
met
Paimon.
someone by the name of Kaedahara Kazuha?
Never mind him alive.
He carries a sword just like you. I've also heard that he possesses an animal vision. That's none of your business.
I've never met this man in my entire life. But I do not know him.
Never mind. You don't look like you know.
I've never met Kazuo in my entire life. What the fuck do you mean? I never met him. Nah.
What the heck is
He certainly did not tell me happy birthday yesterday.
coming around here waving that weird sword in our faces? And he didn't even apologize. Seems like a real nutcase. Well, one thing's for sure. No way are we telling him anything about Kazuha.
Very smart for once.
Hey, don't be mean. I'm on smart lots of
No, the
time.
fuck you are not. You were slightly passive aggressive.
On the safe side, we should go find Kazuha right away and tell him to. Oh, what kind of hunch? A special connection? You mean? Yeah, maybe a little. But then again, most people look pretty much the same once they start fighting, so that doesn't really prove anything. Anyway, there's no time to lose. Let's go tell Kazuha so we won't get into any danger.
Yeah, it's not like the entirety of Inazuma has the same fighting style because they've been in closed station for majority of these characters' fucking lives. So it's kind of no wonder a lot of people have the same fighting. Get the fuck out of here with that title. I didn't even realize. Fuck, my boy. Listen, half these characters need therapy. That would have been fucking hilarious. Just imagine pulling up and just fighting with Kazuha during that fight. I need to fucking... Kazuha's like partially built.
Hello? Do you know where Kazuha is?
Sure, just say that out loud.
You're looking for Kazuha too, huh? Guess he must have done something impressive after all.
Phil?
Well, we took the small vessels into Rito on a routine supply run, only this time, as soon as we entered the harbor, we ran into a huge crowd of Inazumans, all of them wanting to know about Kazuha.
Oh?
If it's because of that battle on Nizuchi Beach, Captain Beto had a great run there too, but I don't see her getting this kind of attention. Kazuha keeps to himself most of the time. In fact, there are times when he doesn't even listen to the captain, but she just laughs it off.
Oh, so you still don't know what he did.
I've heard bits and pieces. Something about him blocking the Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi.
Yeah, he did that.
Is it really as big a deal as everyone's making it out to be? Really? Wow. When you put it like
I
that,
mean, you really can't compare
makes
that. This
sense.
man all of a sudden activated 2 visions
In that case, his newfound stardom is well deserved.
and then
He
called
was
it a day,
called
so
away earlier by some people from the Tenryo Commission.
I'm never gonna get
They
over
said
that
they
Ray
had
fucked up
something
his character
important to
design.
discuss with him. I thought they'd come to arrest him at first. Turns out they couldn't have been friendlier to him. Seems like they really respect the guy.
I wonder why.
A while ago, this would have been completely unimaginable. Thank you. Guess we'll go pay a visit to the Tenryo Commission.
Hey, Sarah.
All right then. I'll just stay here and carry on trying to fend off the crowd.
Throw that away. Oh shit, hey.
Oh? It's you.
Hi.
Greetings. We were just discussing the repealing of the Vision Hunt decree. Since you're here, you're very welcome to listen in on the conversation.
Why the fuck do I know
We
that
invited
voice?
Mr. Kaidahara here to extend a gesture of goodwill on behalf of the Shogunate. Your hard work has secured for us the agreeable state of affairs that we now enjoy. Also, I've been granted the chance to correct my clan's past mistakes, and for that, I'm deeply grateful. The Almighty Shogun has issued a large array of directives aimed at resolving, or at least easing, the tensions that have built up over the years. The Tri-Commission has made the recommendation to use this opportunity to restore the honor of the Kaidahara name. Regarding the history of the Kaidahara clan, I trust that you're already somewhat informed?
I forgot. I heard a thing or two.
In short, there was once a group of select bladesmiths who served the Shogun directly, responsible for upholding and further developing the traditional blade forging arts of the Almighty Shogun. The Kaidahara clan belonged to this class. But there came a time when some of these bladesmiths revolted and
I'll never
fled to
forget when people
Snezhnaya.
thought Cosmo was gonna be
Both the
Cairo.
Kaidahara and Kamisato clans were held accountable for lax oversight and entered a period of great turmoil. We later
What
learned
was
that
the
the whole
character we had this
misadventure had been
conversation about?
secretly
About like character
orchestrated by
science
the
and them not
Fatui.
thinking about their element? Was it
Attributing
Cosmo
all
who
of the
sparked it,
blame
or
to
was
the
it someone else?
Kamisato and Kaidahara clans was neither proper nor just. Considering
does
Mr.
scream
Kaidahara
Pyro,
has once more
but he
made
has,
an
like, the maple
outstanding
leaf and all
contribution
that.
to Inazuma, the Almighty Shogun believes he should not only be rewarded for his achievements, but also receive recompense.
What was the
for
other
excessive
character we started
punishment borne
complaining
by his
about?
clan in
I
the
don't
past.
know.
I know Miko was one
In
of
the
them.
interest of preventing further harassment of the
I don't know, I
bladesmith
disagree
clans
with
by
that.
the
I think
Fatui,
she does
we chose not to publicly release the findings.
I know I
of our
said something about
investigations
Hazel.
into these
Motherfucker looks like a
matters.
Geo
We
character.
trust you can understand why this was necessary.
This is a true honor. I am delighted to be in a position
Actually,
to
no, I
receive
think I
the
said something
goodwill
else.
of the Almighty Shogun and the Shogunate at large. However, would I
Sorry, I'm
be
paying
able
attention.
to
I have the shit in
consider
English
this
now, so I just hear the
magnanimous
voices because I
gesture
wanted
does
to
not
be
come
casual.
without some strings attached?
I can assure you that nothing could be further from
Listen,
the
I
truth.
wanted to hear
We
and
seek
tell me
only to
happy
correct
birthday,
the past
okay? Persona,
injustice.
my Persona energy
With the
kicked
Kaidahara
in.
clan's reputation
Fucking
and
booked it to
occupation
Venti.
restored, the Kaidaharas will be bladesmiths once more, and your wanderings will finally come to an end.
Not let him be a wanderer,
You'll be
bitch.
able to lead a safe and prosperous life in Inazuma City with the Almighty Shogun's blessing and full support of the Shogunate.
Damn.
I have grown accustomed to life among the elements. I fear I would no longer feel at home behind the tall walls of a stately abode. Yet my ancestors did indeed take great pride in the name of Kaidahara, and the art of blade making for which it stood. I do have a responsibility to restore their honor.
Never forget that there's a
I
very high
sense some
possibility
hesitation
my
in your
dead
words.
name is coming up in the next
Should you
nation.
accept this offer, I
There's
imagine
a-
many
there's
of
a
the
chance.
malicious rumors currently circulating through the populace will disappear.
I will actually kill myself if that happens.
All we heard on the way here was so much praise that we almost wondered
Alright,
whether
I'm gonna
there
go dump
was
this
another
out.
Kaidahara
As much as I like this type of broth, it's fucking
Well,
cold.
to some, the Muso no Hitotachi is something that can never be defeated.
Fuck.
They cannot accept the idea that Mr. Kaedahara really parried the Shogun's strike. Also, eyewitnesses saw him using the power of Electro in addition to that of Animo. As a result, the falsehood that Kaedehara Kazuha was using a delusion began to spread.
Ooh. Ah, my leg.
But
It hurts.
that doesn't make sense. Using a delusion turns you old and frail, and Kazuha still looks fine.
That is correct. However, to some people, the idea of a single person wielding two elements at once is a more inconceivable notion still.
This is just one of many similar rumors. I am very uncomfortable with being the subject of public discussion, no matter whether it brings suspicion or stardom my way. But perhaps if the Shogunate is willing to publicly support me, this situation will blow over more quickly.
This is precisely why I encourage you to give our offer some serious thought. It stands to benefit all of us.
Please allow me some time to consider. In fact, let us put this discussion on hold for the moment. Well then, what brings the two of you here?
Yikes! We nearly forgot about the most important thing!
Why would such a dangerous individual be looking for me?
The fuck is this? Oh my god. People, wear your fucking shoes in the dormitory, goddamn! Fuck me! We're getting the
No. This puzzles me as much as it does you.
us getting the email
My
basically
fighting
put
forms were
keep
taught
the
to me
grippers
by my family,
out of the
based
that
on
cafe.
techniques originally developed for
I
blade
told that to my
testing.
teacher, I was like, who the fuck got the
We
grippers
undergo
out?
rigorous training to standardize
Ah yes,
every
I'm so
motion
sorry
the
if you're a
blade is
body, you
making,
just see the
so
list
that
of
each
bands
can
that
be
has
fairly
happened.
assessed for quality. Over time, these techniques came to form something of a Kaedehara
Oh, hello.
sword art, focused on blade testing, but with a full repertoire of combat forms. Those forms are quite different from the more practical ones typically used by samurai in battle. So it's hard to imagine that the similarity you speak of was coincidence alone.
All the more reason to watch your back! This guy was a serious nutcase.
Indeed.
Why did my
sounds highly
Twitter
aggressive.
change and all of a sudden I
Anyone
see
he
Technoblade and
targets is at risk of
Scaramouche
serious
right next to
injury.
each other?
Or worse.
Oh god, it changed!
In that case, I will send some men out immediately to search for him.
Thank you. I must say, I am now very curious about this matter.
Oh, the Game Awards
and
only
I
start in
will
5
also need
minutes.
some time to consider your offer. I will first join the Traveler in investigating the one who attacked her, then give you a conclusive answer upon my return.
Very well.
Yeah.
Please stay safe.
Come on. Let's go and track down your aggressor.
The detective agency knows the most about what goes on in...
Nope, still locked. Damn it. Have fun. Better start doing start doing all the character stories you have not done.
Itchy.
God, I'm AR-55. I have to level my ass up. I'm going on a trip. Oh damn it, I do have to do my laundry because I have a jacket in there that I wear for the weather. Fuck. I love all of us panicking, that scare.
Hey there. We'd like to ask you a quick question.
God damn it.
Do you know if anyone around here has been looking for him? For Kaidahara Kazuha, we mean.
Paimon!
Aha! So this is the renowned Mr. Kaidehara. I've heard a lot
My
about
boy.
you. It is an honor to finally meet you
What are
today.
you looking at? You're very quiet.
You are too kind.
You're very quiet
We
today.
are currently investigating an assault and would appreciate any help you can offer.
That's normal.
Oh? You were targeted in an assault? Let me
Also,
think. I
got
can't
shiny.
seem to recall anything of immediate interest.
After 2 years, you finally got a shiny.
Mr.
Not in that
Kaidehara
camp,
is currently the
unfortunately.
talk
Damn.
of the town, so there are always a lot of people looking for him. To be honest with you, our detective agency has recently been receiving many inquiries from people wishing to obtain Mr. Kaidehara's personal information.
How the fuck has it already been
Some of
30
them are
minutes?
offering us millions
How
of
the
mora
fuck's already
just to
been
gather
30
the
minutes?
information they want. If these
Time
were
is
more
not a
legitimate
fucking real thing.
commissions,
It's an illusion.
Sangha would have snapped them up in
It
an
literally
instant.
is.
Millions? Of Mora? Whoa. Oh, wait. Even at that price, you probably still shouldn't.
Please, accept my thanks for looking out for my privacy.
Of course. No matter what, we only take on legitimate cases. We don't make our money by revealing details of other people's day-to-day life just for the sake of it. Sorry, I got a little off topic. What I'm really trying to say is, it doesn't surprise me that a complete stranger is looking for Mr. Kaedehara. But I wouldn't know where to begin if we want to connect this with an assault.
Then let's put that connection aside for now. Have there been any other attacks or similar incidents recently that stand out as particularly unusual? The Tenryou Commission had very few leads.
Of course.
I thought you might have some information from different sources.
It's
yes,
true
don't
that
mind
the
me
commissioners
technically
aren't
having
clued up about
Dendro
every
outside of the
little thing
character.
that goes on out in the streets.
That's not real.
But typically, it's only the most trivial events that manage to escape their attention. If anyone had been out there attacking people, that would be assault, in which case the Tenryou Commission would absolutely get involved.
That does make sense. Uh-oh. Looks like the trail's already run cold.
I still find it difficult to believe that whoever attacked you hasn't been causing any trouble elsewhere. Few people possess your prowess in battle. So unless you were the first person he targeted, someone is certain to have been hurt by now. I am well aware of your talents. There is no need to be humble around me. In fact, I'm quite relieved that
What
you were
is
the
up
one he
with the
targeted.
fucking Anima
It
Boys?
would cause me
Oh,
great grief to
spoiler,
see
Scar
someone become
joins the
critically
Anima
injured
Boys
and
Saves
lose their
Traveler
life because
club.
of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For the poor victim,
Yeah.
this would be a completely senseless
does.
crime.
I've been spoiled for like a part of a cutscene, but I have no idea the context of said
It
cutscene
seems you are every bit
because
the
Ben
selfless
edit and
hero
had the
they
music
make you
over,
out
which
to
is
be,
like,
Mr.
thank you
Kaedehara.
very much.
Surely this same concern for your fellow man is what drove you to fearlessly
No.
raise your blade
Oi.
against the almighty Shogun.
You flatter me. Truth be told, I don't know quite what came over me in that moment.
No boy, my baby,
You are
no.
much too humble. Don't worry, I completely understand your concerns. I will try my
My
best to gather
boy,
whatever
no.
leads I can for you. Oh, actually,
What?
there was one strange incident over the last few days.
No,
It
you
doesn't
still have
involve an
half
attack,
hour.
though.
Actually, an
Let
hour.
me tell you about it just in case.
All of us getting immediately
Sure.
concerned because she
During
whined.
times like this, the more information we have, the better.
All right then.
I also genuinely thought she died last
Two
night.
people went missing from the city at around the same
Because
time.
I looked over at her and it didn't
One
look
of them
like she
is a
was
pretty well-known
breathing.
collector,
And so I
surnamed
like touched her.
Naruto.
I touched her
The
foot and she
other,
didn't move, and I was like,
Amino
"Oh shit!
Yuya,
Please
is
tell
a
me I'm
samurai
not
from the
sleeping next to a
Amino
dead cat." And then she finally moved. And I was like, "Thank God."
Now there's a familiar name.
Right. Yuya is the nephew of Amenoma Togo, the owner of Amenoma Smithy. 2 grown men going missing at the same time.
I love how they're not mentioning the fact
Their
that the sword looks
cases are
weird.
likely
Like, there's no
connected.
mention of
I
that.
don't know much in
We're
the
not
way of
gonna. Are we not gonna
details.
mention that sword?
I recalled this because
Also, the
Amenoma
weapons. The
Yuya is
weapons from
also
the
an
new
accomplished
event
martial
look so
artist who
fucking
is skilled
cool.
with the blade. Perhaps
Even
he
though
is the
people
one
were
you
like
looking
insulting it, I'm like, wow, good to know.
Understood, though it seems highly unlikely to me. I neither know this man, nor do I have any idea why he may wish to attack me.
Sure, can't hurt. We
Again,
never
why are we
know
not
to
mentioning the
find
sword?
out
Do we
along
not
the
acknowledge
way.
the fact that that sword looked kind of
Thank you,
evil?
Ryuji. We'll start by making some inquiries at the Amenoma Smithy.
Sounds good.
That name in
All the
itself
best with
sounds
your
fucking
investigation.
hilarious.
I'll get moving shortly myself.
I love how we have this conversation literally right behind them. Fuck.
Ah, if it isn't Kaedehara Kazuha. What brings you here today?
It's our boy.
Huh? You two know each other?
Why the fuck are you surprised?
Yes, the Kaedehara and Amenoma clans were both members of the Raiden Gokaden. Historically, there have always been deep links between the two clans. After I returned to Inazuma, I visited Mr. Amenoma to pay my respects. Yes, you may recall the story of the Raiden Gokaden from the Iridori Festival.
Though all bladesmiths trace their craft back to the
I swear I'm not late in the
source,
story. I swear to God I'm not that late in the story enough
each
that
of
they
us
just
has
hinted at the
arrived at a
Iodori
different
Festival. That's been
plane
how
in
long?
philosophy,
That event
sparking
happened when?
development of different branches of the same art. As an example,
This summer's
the
gonna be fucking
Amenoma
fun.
art
I'm just gonna be
strives
purging
to
this
emulate
game.
the abiding patience
I'm gonna be a
and
good little
determination of
noodle.
water as it
I'm gonna be a
turns
good bat and
stone
actually do my
to
job.
sand. There is nothing mystical to our work,
Also, my parents are
There is
just like,
only
your face is so
practice,
tiny. I'm like,
day
yeah,
in
that's the point.
and day out, until both body and mind have memorized the craft, turning each motion of every technique into an intrinsic part of the bladesmith's life. As for the art of the Kaedehara clan, I believe it's called the Ishin art.
That's right. Ishin art strives for complete harmony between blade and mind from the moment that forging begins. For only a blade thus forged can capture and convey its maker's thoughts and feelings, and eventually become an extension of its wielder's will.
But
Indeed. Most samurai choose their blades, but an Ishin blade chooses its owner. You are,
What?
without a doubt, the most worthy wielder of an Ishin blade. It gladdens my heart to see that although the Kaedehara clan has fallen on hard times, its ideals and virtues are alive and well.
You overestimate me. My actions are guided by my own personal sentiments, not by any noble aspirations on behalf of my clan. But let's get back on topic. The purpose of our visit today is to gather some information on your missing
quit
nephew.
smoking while I'm gonna tell you.
We hope to assist with the investigation. It may turn out that this case is connected to another we are pursuing.
Ah, yes.
Y'all wait
My
to release
nephew.
stress. DJ the Vital instead of a
I
lung
reported
cancer.
the case to the Tenryo Commission, but
Nah.
I haven't heard anything back so far.
I'm sorry, I just think that's
He didn't
fucking
say a word
hilarious.
before he left, which is very unlike him. I'm still completely at a loss on what to make of it, but I've done what I can so far. Worrying is futile.
Oh my god, wait,
All I
Halsey
can do
has a.
now is wait for
Halsey has a
news from
Tumblr?
the Tenryo Commission.
Oh shit.
We heard that there
Scatter.
was a collector involved in the
Scatter, why are
Disney
so many people
too.
getting Tumblr?
Know anything about that?
Please, that is my safe haven.
Yes. On the morning that Yuya went missing, he gave me a very cryptic look and said that he was going to give me a great gift. I believe he went to collect the item from Mr. Nagato after that. The next thing I heard was that a fire had broken out at the warehouse,
No!
and neither of them
Oh, thank
came
God.
back.
was locked out of a fire?
Yes. Strange, isn't it?
Okay, Twitter's had a
I
stroke for no
wonder
reason.
what could have caused it. Unfortunately, there was very little evidence left behind, so nobody knows what really happened.
Do you have any thoughts on what Yuya may have wanted to give you?
If I had to guess, it must have been some kind of rare weapon. Otherwise, there would have been no reason for him to get my hopes up. He's never been particularly interested in blade forging, but has always had a fondness for blade testing, and can sense even the most minute differences in blade quality.
I'm sorry, what?
He is extraordinarily talented in martial arts, particularly when it comes to the art of the sword.
Truth be told, we have some information that you may find to be objectionable. The person we are looking for, he attacked this friend of mine. Based on the evidence we have gathered so far, only Yuya seems to match the suspect's profile.
What? No. Absolutely impossible. Yuya is not that kind of person. He is humble and kind. Even his training is done with the goal of calming his mind. He has never gotten into a fight before.
Is that so?
Yes. If there's one thing I can say for certain, it's that Yuya would never draw his blade without a very
Sorry, get
good
on the
reason.
Don Simon's video. Oh my
But
god, I fucking love this.
With that said, it's equally out of character for him to just disappear, with neither farewell nor fair warning. I also cannot know what course of action
Again,
he might be capable of.
We
if
still not
coerced,
mentioned the fact that
or
the sword,
otherwise
you know, gave
compelled
off
by
an evil vibe.
circumstances
You know, the
unbeknownst
one
to
thing
me.
that should probably
Anyway,
be brought up
Should you
first.
find him, please let me know as soon as
Because
possible.
the Traveler's seen enough
Don't
shit to
worry.
probably, like,
You
look at
have
a sword and be
our
like, yeah, that shit ain't normal. We've seen enough shit,
From the
hopefully.
sound of that,
But no, we don't mention the fact that the
was the one
sword...
who
Yes.
We could have just said,
It
the sword is
sounds as if
evil,
something
and we could have
happened
figured
when
this
the
out
two
instead of
met
being...
each other.
Fuck.
Let's pay a visit to the Nagato household.
Oh god. This is the parish. Is that a fucking chest?
There's quality here.
That's actually kind of embarrassing. Okay. Now we gotta pull up the pretty privileged one. Miko and her little bell.
I'm
Uh-oh.
very sorry, but we cannot afford to pay what we owe right now. My husband has gone missing, and I'm still trying to find him.
No, you misunderstand us. We are here to help with the investigation. We'd like to ask you some questions about Mr. Nagato's disappearance, if we may.
Ah, I see. I thought the debt collectors had come to visit again.
Oh my god, no.
I'm sorry you have to see me in this dreadful state. Has some new information come out? Do you know where he's gone?
I'm afraid we don't have any new information at the moment. We're still trying to find out as much as we can to inform our search. With this in mind, can we perhaps ask some questions about your family's current situation?
For example, Paimon's struggling to understand why a collector would be strapped for Mora.
That's a long story. Ever since I've known him, he's been an avid collector of all sorts of things. He'd always get so animated when he was showing them to me. I knew nothing about the items myself, but seeing how enthusiastic and excited they made him, I was happy to believe that they were just extremely important to him. Everything was fine when we first got married, but as time went by, things changed for the worse.
Uh-oh. What happened?
He lost his sense of restraint. He started buying more and more things, and even resorted to borrowing money just so he could pay for them. Our expenses really spiraled out of control when he started getting interested in weapons. It was awful. There were days when he'd spend hours down at the warehouse, admiring his weapons even as debt collectors were descending upon our house. He wouldn't sell them, wouldn't even touch them. Just sat there staring at them like he was in a trance. I'm happy he has a hobby, and I'm willing to support him. But making ends meet has to come first.
Yeah, you know what I'm about to say.
I've tried talking to him about it so many times.
She mentions the weapons,
He
and why are we
never
not talking
listens.
about the fucking sword?
The last day that I saw him, I gave him
I'm sorry,
empty.
baby. I know that was loud.
I said,
This story's just slightly
if
aggravating
he
me.
refused to sell his collectibles and pay off his debts, I would divorce him and take the children with
Okay,
me.
shit. Wow, okay. We're going there.
And that led to an argument.
That's valid, though.
Actually, it didn't. Generally, he's a quiet man who likes to go with the flow. On most things, he leaves the decision-making to me. You
Can't
must
wait for
understand.
Can't wait till I can come back after 3 days of being gone to see what the hell she's gonna do.
Pushed our family to the
She's gonna get
brink.
depressed and just not leave my bed.
After I said those words, he froze
I don't think so.
and was silent for a long time.
I hope she won't get depressed.
When he finally spoke, he awkwardly mumbled that he would pick out a few items to sell. His voice was so meek and pitiful that I felt an urge to take everything back. But then what? If I didn't draw the line, what would happen to our family?
It's important to set boundaries.
Had I not indulged his bad habits, we wouldn't have found ourselves in such a predicament. And I also don't know if he had actually come to his senses, or if he was simply angry with me. The next thing I heard was that our warehouse had caught fire, and both he and the buyer had gone missing.
I see. I understand. Amin Omayuya came to purchase a weapon from Mr. Nagato. During the sale, a fire broke out at the warehouse, and both men disappeared.
At first, I assumed they must have gotten into an argument over the price. But my husband has never been one to negotiate. He never even haggles when he's out buying groceries, so it's hard to imagine him getting into a fierce argument.
Well, says that to the man who almost fucking stabbed my eye
Maybe
out.
he was feeling the pressure from the debts?
I don't know. He just disappeared after the warehouse burned down. Perhaps he's too afraid to come home now that all his collectibles have been lost in the fire, and he's got no way to pay off our debts. Even though I'm still a little mad at him, we're a family, and I want us to face our family's crisis together. As long as he's willing to turn over a new leaf, I know we can work things out.
Please don't get upset. There could be more to this situation than meets the eye. If collecting things is a habit that Mr. Nagato had his whole life, it is quite unusual for this habit to change so drastically over a short period. But the information we gathered from the other side suggests Amin Omayuya is also a mild-mannered man who would not be likely to start an argument. This situation is getting a little confusing.
A little confusing? More like completely mystifying.
Let's try a change of scenery and see if we can piece together what we've
Damn,
learned.
Dona O'Brien looks so
Rest
fine.
assured, we'll notify you if we find anything.
Thank you so much.
I didn't even
She's
realize
going
this
to
was
come
someone's
home.
account as magic. Well, shit. Came back.
Based on the information we've gathered so far, I can only surmise that the sales meeting between the two men was somehow the catalyst for their disappearance. The fire at the warehouse likely played a part in how the situation unfolded, though its exact role is a mystery. Do you have any thoughts?
Well,
What the fuck? Shut up.
Nope, never mind. Paimon's brain needs to rest for a while. Over to you.
An interesting explanation. I was also considering this possibility. Aminoma Yuya is an expert on swords. He could have noticed some problematic details about Mr. Nagato's collectibles. Maybe he recognized a blade as a fake, or a well-known stolen item. Either way, after arguing about it, the two men agreed to hide the truth of this matter. They thought a fire would destroy everything. But then the Tenryou Commission began investigating and uncovered some incriminating details, so they fled to protect their secrets. But
Damn.
it's a far-fetched theory. I can't imagine how they would have been able to reach an agreement. One fact that I keep coming back to is that Aminoma Yuya is polite and well-mannered, while Mr. Nagato is introverted and passive. Neither seems like the type of person who is inclined towards initiating conflict. Mr. Nagato, being heavily in debt, is also the only one of them with the potential motive to disappear after the fire. The more I ponder it, the more puzzling it becomes.
Ow.
Just what could have happened there? Right. Although the time frame seems to broadly match, no other details that we've learned seem to link the two events together. Aminoma Yuya lacks a key distinguishing feature of the attacker, namely that he is principally a practitioner of the blade testing techniques of Aminoma art, not those of the combat-oriented Ishin art.
Darn! We thought we could get two birds with one stone here, but at this rate, it's starting to look like a wild goose chase.
Let's keep going, since we've come this far. If we can solve the case, both Mr. Aminoma and Mrs. Nagato will be able to get some closure.
Yeah. That explains a lot.
But where should we go now?
Let's head out of the city and check out the warehouse.
A Mortal
There's still a
Kombat
chance we may be
community
able to find
watching the
some
Game
shreds
Awards
of
knowing there's
evidence.
no chance of MK12 getting revealed there. Oh, I think that's hilarious. I know I should be paying attention to this, but it's just like, I'm so angry by this goddamn thing of just mentioning. Yeah, the sword looked a little bit off. Come on, please. She does do it. I love the key details of Miko's just like, why the fuck did you
Wait.
cancel out my bullshit? What?
I hear something ominous in the wind.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh! This must be another one of those sounds that only you can hear. As sketchy as that whole thing seems, you did put it to good use when we were chasing down that vision thief at Beto's tournament, so...
I'm sorry, I'm reading things from the Game Awards because this is fucking hilarious.
Now I'm picking up a strong scent in addition to the sound. It's right around here somewhere.
But there's nothing here.
It's
Come
gone
on.
now.
Just
But I
shut
can still
the
sense
fuck
the direction it
up.
moved in. It felt very much like that ancient presence in Inazuma. The remnants of the Tatarigami. Indeed. But this unexpected spring of inauspicious energy may prove to be of benefit to our investigation. We should remain vigilant.
And approach slowly, motherfucker. Oh god, let's go underground again.
So it's an underground warehouse.
The force is definitely coming from down the source of the Tatarigami energy, judging from the concentration.
Mrs. Nagato's...
It could well be that he was already under the influence of Tatarigami energy at that time. From what I've been told, Tatarigami does not turn all upon whom it preys into violent monsters, but most will develop a stubborn streak upon being exposed to the Tatarigami's unfulfilled will. Their interests become fanatical obsessions. Mr. Nagato had an
Oh,
interest
the stream
in
crashed for the
crafting
Game
to begin
Awards.
influence of Tatar.
That's kind of funny. Her stream crashed.
No.
Step back. I'll open the door and take a look inside.
That's fucking
If we don't
dangerous.
Open this door, we can move. Nope, you needn't worry. Both of us have faced far greater dangers than
Fox.
this.
Oh god. I'm
Relatively
surprised Miko's not
speaking,
over
the
there.
risk here is trivial.
Kazuha gets fucking injured. I'm throwing hands.
What's down there?
Domain.
Everything's buried in debris. I can't see anything. It looks like the fire caused a cave-in, reducing the entire warehouse.
That was too scary. Paimon was so sure that the warehouse boogeyman was about to jump out at us.
All we can do is keep searching in the direction that the two ordinary humans, entangled with the Tatarigami. Yes, let's go. Quiet your mind.
Follow the scent. There's a fucking scent. Yeah, I was like, that's vaguely fucking ominous. For a second, I thought Miko was about to fucking die.
From this point, the trail appears to split into two.
We're not
The
separating.
main source of the Tatarigami energy continued on into the distance. Quite possibly. Let's search the area.
Oh my god, people are already pulling out the horny.
Whoa! Look at all those hilly churls. They're acting really strangely.
Something seems to be drawing their attention. Let's take a closer look.
Her voice lines were strangely quiet.
No touching. Rest and revamp. Right now.
The fuck was that shit?
It's...
Ugh. Look at this red stuff. What is it?
Please tell me it's not
By
blood.
the looks of it, a letter.
Thank
written on a
God.
piece of torn clothing. The ink is bone dry. It must have been written quite some time ago. Well, let's take a look.
Okay, I need to stop paying attention to this. Oh! Did someone fucking die?
According to this letter, a conflict arose because Amenoma Yuya wanted to seize a blade belonging to Mr. Nagato. Yuya started the fire that destroyed the warehouse and wounded Mr. Nagato in the fight. Mr. Nagato kept chase as long as he could, eventually stopping here to write this letter when his strength gave out.
So, where is he?
Fucking dead, probably.
He was not only mortally wounded, but also under the heavy influence of Tatarigami. Add to that.
Oh,
the fact
that
he
was a
himself
joke.
seems to have
I didn't
attracted
think this
a
man
horde
was
of
actually gonna die.
monsters, and I'm afraid he may no longer be with us. Whatever traces there may have been of his fate beyond after this point, they've since been disturbed by the hilly churls. There's nothing more for us to find here. Yes, right now, if Amenoma Yuya is
Right. So let's get moving.
I wouldn't be surprised if, for a practitioner of the martial arts, All the clues that at first seemed... I have a hypothesis that...
Wait, you figured it out?
I believe so. But it's something of an outlandish idea.
Just casually
I
skipping
will only
important
be
shit.
able to confirm my suspicions once we've met him in person. On with the search. We must stay vigilant. At any point now, we may find ourselves in danger.
I'm sorry, there's a sequel to Among Us? I'm sorry. What? That looks pretty. Sorry. You, oh my god, you literally want me to go out to the middle of the ocean. Okay.
He seems to have stayed here for a long time.
Why here? Is there anything special
It's a
about
secluded island.
I'm not sure. But on closer examination, I sense that the aura may have lingered here at several different points in time. Show yourself! It's
God.
no use hiding anymore.
Oh, fuck me, I guess. Oh, not you again.
Kaede Harakazua. It's you, at last.
What did he do?
So it is the same guy from before.
What did he do?
What's your problem, huh? What could you possibly
You
have
know.
against Kazuha?
Indeed, there should be no enmity between us. If it is Ameno Meyuya that stands before us. But what if instead of facing Ameno Meyuya, we are in fact facing the blade in his hand?
Now that you mention it, it is giving off a strange light.
It took almost an hour, and we finally are now acknowledging that the sword is fucking, you know, giving off a bad energy. We've been here for a fucking hour.
It itself within physical objects, then works to subtly
Oh my
affect
God.
any living organisms in its vicinity.
Traveler, you've seen some weird shit. I'm assuming that sword would have brought, like, given you some shit, but no.
Affecting his state of mind. And more recently, using the sail as a means to affect, or rather, as a means to occupy Ameno Meyuya's body.
You're sharper than I thought. You've already deduced the truth of the matter. Many, many years ago, I was forged by a famed bladesmith of the Ishin tradition. I was his pride and joy. In me, he placed all his hopes and dreams. As a descendant of the Kaedehara clan, you should be able to guess our greatest regret.
Hi.
I presume it has
What do you want?
something
You
to
giving
do
me all
with
the
the
attention
Raiden
because I'm
Gokugen.
leaving?
Indeed. At that point in time, he failed to live up to the Raiden Shogun's expectations. In the end, all he could do was to flee the nation by sea on a ship bound for Snezhnaya. He was a bladesmith of great renown.
Baby,
a
I
master
can't
of his
believe I
craft.
can't pet you
There
from
was
there.
nothing that he could not accomplish. All he needed was more time and a little faith. And sure enough,
What did I do
in
to
the
you?
end, he achieved what he had set
Are
out
you
to
gonna
do.
miss me?
All of his life's work, his wisdom.
I was like, I don't know. I don't
his
think I've been
skill,
out
it
here long enough during the
culminated in his
weekend to see how she
creation
acts.
of me. He not only
What?
bestowed upon me the greatest of
Hang
strength,
on.
but also endowed me with a consciousness of my own.
What? Why does this sword have
In her
consciousness?
conceit, the Raiden Shogun lost not only the single most perfect blade in the entire world, but also
Is Kazuha
an
oh my god,
irreplaceable
Kazuha's taller than
achievement
us.
in the art of blade forging.
Ah, fuck me.
So, swords can become
The people of the time in which I was born never believed
Yes,
I had
Paimon.
that
They
kind
can
of
do that,
power.
because it's not like we're
They
fucking
saw me
talking
as a
to
mere-
one.
After the death of my creator, I decided to leave Snezhnaya and began my long quest
Oh,
to
that's
return
about
to
the
the
fucking
distant
stories
land
from
of
Snezhnaya,
Inazuma.
you know.
Moving from one person to the next, I controlled the
Scrunkly?
minds of countless hosts along the way, each bringing me one step closer to my ancestral home.
What?
I seek but one thing: to face the full force of the Raiden Shogun's blade and prove my power, the might of Ishin.
Oh shit.
So Amenoma Yuya was not your first victim.
Chava looks so done.
Tell me, what happens to those you've possessed when you've finished using them?
My hosts? Who cares what happens to them?
Oh
They
my
are
god,
but
I'm gonna
tools
fucking
to
kill a
serve my
sword.
mission. When they got tired or injured or unusable, I hopped to the next one in line. All I needed them for was to take me back to Inazuma.
You're awful.
After I returned to Inazuma, I decided to bide my time in Nagato's warehouse until Amenoma Yuya handed himself
Is this
over to me
related?
on a
Is that what
silver
you're doing?
platter.
No, it's 8 o'clock, the bells are going off.
I'm
Yeah, but they're
approaching
going off at
my journey's
8:02.
destination. By
It's just
Amenoma
weird, but they don't
Yuya's
usually go
power,
off at
I
8.
have found you, and by your
They usually stop at
I
7 or
shall
5.
defeat the Raiden Shogun.
You have
Aida
20,
Harakazuha,
20,
you
27
stood
minutes
against the
now.
Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi.
Oh my god.
There can be no other to serve as my host for what is to come.
Yeah, absolutely fuck not. Do not touch him.
Now, give your body over to me.
Hey yo. Hey yo. Fuck, I was putting a headphone in.
Emerge. Right here. Right now. Allow me.
I shall rewrite history. Join me and sever that divine light.
What they give this man? That is a isn't this a 3? Eh! I'm sorry, every time I look at this man I wanna cry. My poor boy.
One with wind and cloud.
Rewrite history.
Is that all? Right here.
We shall rewrite history.
One with nature.
Foreign.
I love how they put a quotation.
Access denied.
No.
And sever that divine light.
Nah. Oh shit. Okay.
Do not stand in my way, or I will strike you down too.
Glowy thing.
Your bluff's fooling no one. You've lost.
Oh my god.
Lost. I can never lose. It is this body that has reached its limit, nothing more.
The fuck is that?
Even if you defeat me here, the one who falls will not be me. He is but a puppet that can be replaced. The end result is the same. I will end this wretch's life before you can lift a finger.
This traveler is so
Even
done.
if I were to lose my physical form, it is but a small setback. My consciousness shall, by any means necessary, and any medium available, I shall return.
Your fighting style. It is indeed the forms of Ishin art.
He's like, let me
From
quickly
your
just end
movements,
this.
I sense only hatred and arrogance, as well as a thinly veiled mania and despair.
Really? You can tell all that just from his moves?
As I've mentioned before, the forms of Ishin art convey the user's thoughts and feelings. Since the blade is currently possessing Amenoma Yuya's body, its movements.
I'm sorry, what
express
the fuck is the Ed
innermost
Sheeran
thoughts of the
SMP?
blade. If you ask me, the mania is probably due to your desperate, single-minded ambition. You believe I am your only hope.
Are you trying to claim that I am helpless without you?
Yes.
On his deathbed, he passed to me all of Ishin Art's secrets. The little that you know barely scratches the surface. In that regard, why would I ever need your help?
Because all of that is in the past. I've been wondering why you've not caused more trouble in all the years that you've been in. Now that I've seen inside your mind, everything
Damn.
finally makes sense. You weren't biding your time. You were trapped.
Fuck.
After all the time that's passed, you
I'm
have
so
grown
angry
weak,
because this sword is like
to the
perfect for
point
him.
that you are now unable to acquire a new host without making physical contact.
Oh, that's right. Paimon remembers now. Mr. Nagato had a habit of never touching his collectibles.
Only when Mr. Nagato witnessed his wife's distress and decided to sell his collectibles did you finally have an opportunity to reach out to Aminoma Yuya and make your escape.
What of it?
Well, that brings me to my second point. There's a despair in you that is so strong it threatens to overwhelm you. You were determined to fulfill your maker's ambition, whatever the cost. But this ambition is too grand and too heavy for you to bear. Each step you have taken has come at a great cost. I think you realized your limitations long ago. The more you clenched your teeth and pressed forward, the greater your fear of losing everything you had achieved grew, and the more you wished to run from the truth. But the way I see it, what began as an ambition has long since become a delusional fantasy.
What would you know about any of this? I'm just one step away from achieving my goal.
You returned to Inazuma to prove the unparalleled brilliance of Ishin art. But to make this arduous journey, you committed countless atrocities and showed a blatant disregard for human life. Even if you were to sever that divine light, is this truly the outcome that your maker would have desired?
You...
Sure, you inherited the secrets of Ishin art. But even as you made your journey to honor this legacy, you treated the ones who wielded you as mere tools to do your bidding. How could you possibly unleash the full potential of Ishin art when you act in perfect discordance with the principle of harmony between a blade and its bearer?
Silence, you blabbering fool! I must achieve
He's
my
giving
goal.
off gatekeep girl
This
boss
was his
gaslit
life's
vibes right
dream,
now.
and the very purpose for which I was brought into
He's
being.
basically just like, yeah, let me
You
like
see that
tell you
you are
your
most
trauma
perceptive.
at
You
face
see my
value, and I'm just
predicament
like,
clearly.
damn, I don't want to
You
meet you
also
because you can read me like a fucking
underestimate
open
my
book.
resolve.
The trauma will come
And
out.
you should face reality.
Easy
Shit.
for you to say. Facing reality offers me nothing. I have no need of anything that would stand in my way. Not hesitation.
Ooh.
Not self-reflection.
Why is the sword glowing?
And so... It is pointless to argue further. Descendant of the Kaedahara clan, if you wish to save this man, then offer me your body in exchange.
How stubbornly you stick to your wayward path.
Oh, hey, wayward.
I do not believe for a second that you can challenge the almighty Shogun in your current state. So let us make a bet. And I will put your strength to the test.
What? Surely you're not planning to agree to his demands.
No, he's
Very
going
well.
to.
Then find yourself some enemies with whom you wish to cross blades. A
Oh.
taste of my power will more than convince you. Once we have dealt with them, we shall proceed to Tenshukaku.
And as for your end of the bargain, if you lose, you must release Aminoma Yuya from your control.
Oh my god, and what the fuck? Why is El Pacho giving it? Why is he giving an award at the game show?
This is the only way to save Aminoma Yuya. If we don't do this, he'll forever be the Blade's puppet. The Cursed Blade's strength is currently very weak, and I sense he's hesitating. This suggests his heart is still not
Or why is
completely
Al
devoid of
Pacino at the
honor.
Game Awards?
The power of the Tatarigami lies in intensifying existing obsessions. This is the reason Mr. Nagato and Aminoma Yuya fell prey to it. Since I don't have any similar kinds of obsessions, I should be able to put up some resistance for a while.
Not the Junkachino.
Even if things take a turn for the worse, I still have you both here with me. We have a chance here to
No,
save an
my
innocent
boy.
victim. I am willing to accept the risks entailed.
Your disdain for me betrays your woeful ignorance. I agreed to this bet because there
Fuck
are
you.
things I wish to learn too. Now, take me in your hand.
God fucking damn it.
Kazuha?
I'm okay. I felt a little dizzy at first, but only for a moment. It's all right. So far, this was as I expected. I will. Thank you.
What should we do next? Have you got a plan?
We'll find some enemies.
What?
Although this blade has endured much turmoil, it probably hasn't experienced many real fights.
Oh, fuck me.
If a blade built for Ishin art cannot
This
enter
man
state
gets a
of
new
combat,
blade and he straight up goes says, let's go fight some people.
it cannot unleash
What are you
its
looking
true
at me
power.
for?
If he wants to avoid reality,
I got a Scribbly looking at me.
until he has no choice but to face it.
Oh.
He shouldn't last long in an intense combat situation.
God damn it,
Wait
you.
a minute. Paimon remembers hearing about some since the Takasukasa clan abandoned that.
That should fit the bill.
All right.
What about Aminome?
The blade says he'll let Aminome Yuya trail us silently. Although he has...
Are we sure this is a good idea? Okay.
We're going on a trip to fuck some people up, zooming through the sky. Where the fuck is a teleport? You bitch. Hey, no question while we're here. Miko, don't go all of a sudden just fucking, like, dying on me. Oh, hey. Huh. I didn't realize Nakiwi grew here. Weird. Miko. I love how Kokomi is still the one person in the game who just has, like, a 1 or, like, a number after. Everyone's, like, evenly numbered, and then there's her. Oh, fuck me!
Leave everything on this journey to me.
It's just Cosmo? See, it gives like such a good substat for the sword, but it's attack! So it doesn't help him! When a normal charged up point attack hits an opponent, it will release a cursed roll doing AoE damage equal to 100% of the attack and restore 10% attack as HP. This effect can be triggered every 8 seconds.
Time to go.
Holy shit. Oh my god!
Into the wind.
Get down the base.
The wind knows me. Clouds high. The birds call. One with nature.
Oh my god.
You okay?
I got this effect in the background!
The blade is performing largely as I expected. Having gone so long without proper use and maintenance, it's become very difficult to use. Though he's making every effort to persevere, I do not think he can last.
Something else on your mind?
How strange. Rather than trying to control me, he is instead trying to match my fighting rhythm.
What?
Let's keep going.
Excuse the fucking what? I'm not even sure how I noticed that chest. there! I love how instead of just, you know, building him,
As one with wind and cloud.
they just gave this man food and called it a day.
Whoa. Something's up with the blade.
I can sense that his strength is slowly fading away. The blade is becoming more and more difficult for me to wield. He cannot hold out much longer. If he keeps persisting, he will likely...
But what would that do to Amanome Yuya?
I will be careful with it. He also says he does not have any... He's still trying to achieve his goal.
I will admit, it's a pretty ass blade. If, you know, a character I have, you know, appreciate. Whoa. Hello. Hello there. Shut the fuck up, Paimon! Ow.
The wind moves.
Shit, go. What the fuck?
Fine. Fallen leaves, adorn my night.
You win.
That was such a close.
My apologies. In the end, I still needed your help.
Are you okay? It looked like you were really struggling.
Yeah, I was like,
the
that
entire
sword was
fight.
really fucking weak.
Yes. And it looks like
The sheen's grown a bit dimmer again.
perhaps this time we'll finally have a chance to see.
True form? What are you talking about? Huh? What the? Is this the same blade as before? It looks like a piece of junk.
If you choose to continue in the state you're in, you wouldn't even be able to beat Samurai and Kairagi, much less the almighty Shogun. Maybe you did truly wield power to rival the Shogun's light when first forged. But the long journey from Sneshnaya
it's a
back to
pretty- it's a
Inazuma has left
pretty
you
blade.
battered and broken.
I'll give it that.
It barely needs stating anymore. Your ambition is a flight of fancy. I finally figured out why it was that you agreed to my bet. You wanted to reach a state of harmony with me. For perhaps then you would still be able to wield commendable power.
Makes sense, makes sense.
But regrettably, we are nothing alike. I will never understand your obstinacy and cruelty, nor can I empathize with the one who made you. The only one who truly understood you had already passed away by the time you were born.
Huh? What's that supposed to mean?
Here they are. Take them down.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Where do they keep coming from? Yup. We can help this time.
Don't worry. I'll use my own blade. It's just...
It's my lucky day.
What they give him? That is disgusting. I hate that blade. Wait. God, why did they give this man? That is a disgusting ass blade.
One with nature. The wind knows me. As one with wind and cloud.
Hell yeah.
You fought way better with your own sword.
You are a true Kaedehara in flesh and in spirit. No one knew anything of my story throughout my travels, nor did I tell. I thought that if I could achieve Ishin harmony with you, perhaps there would still be a ray of hope for me.
Damn.
But in this too, you have failed.
Indeed. No matter how hard I tried, too much time has passed. My physical state is poor and without yours is the blade that took on the Muso no Hitotachi.
Actually, this is just a generic blade that I picked up during my travels in Liyue.
What?
Forging and maintenance are both important for a blade, but they are not everything. This blade has traveled the land with me for many years, and we have formed a close bond.
God, they
during
gave you a
that time.
shitty ass blade then.
Plus, in the moment that I most needed it, I received aid from another power. Skill, blade, determination, and desire.
Damn.
All these must be aligned in the practice of Ishin art. There is something else I must tell you. Though your maker may not have been aware, your ability to possess your own consciousness derived from the power of the Tatarigami. Tatarigami is a malevolence from the ancient past. It is the source of your mania and savagery. Though you tried to cooperate with me while I was wielding you, the part of you driven by Tatarigami was constantly trying to seize control of my body.
I sensed it, but I couldn't change it. It is an integral part of my consciousness.
I resisted
Don't
its
make me feel bad for a
temptations because
fucking
I
sword,
wanted to
please.
save Amenoma Yuya. But I do
That's
not
not.
know whether you yourself have any intention of trying to fight it. I feel a great sense of regret for you. Since you embarked on a journey bound for a destination you were destined never to reach. The moment you embarked on this journey, you lost the only person who could have ever unleashed your true potential. And yet there was no way for you to turn your back on his ambition. You have known this for a long time. It is the true source of your despair.
He gave me everything. My life, my form, my consciousness, and purpose. How could I possibly deny him his wish? I said to him, "Do not worry. From here on, I shall forge your legacy." How could I go back on my word?
Damn, not y'all making me feel bad for his sword.
I believe our bet is now settled. I have nothing further to say.
Fuck!
Where are you going, Kazuha?
He now has neither the ability nor the motivation to cause further harm. Let's give him
Man
some
said I
time
did
to
my job,
reflect
I'm
on
out.
things. When I touched the hilt for the first time, it's as if I was transported to a strange dimension.
What is up with us being fucking
It was
transported to
somewhere I've
weird
never
ass
been.
dimensions?
A bladesmith lay quietly on the bed, his frail face barely visible under the moonlight. His breaths were weak, and his life near its end. A newly forged blade lay by his side, listening attentively to his final words.
Wow. That was the Blade's memory.
Oh my god, Hades 2 just got Hades 2 got announced.
Indeed. While in exile in Snezhnaya, the bladesmith eventually learned the truth behind everything that had
Again,
happened.
I actually need to
Ishin
play.
art had been dealt a devastating
Now, what if I
blow
just
by
go
the
buy that
desertion
game right
of its
now?
best smiths. He spent the rest of his life in the
Wow,
forge,
crazy.
not to vent his frustration and hatred,
It's not time.
but to atone
You can
for
go on my
his
lap.
actions. He felt intense regret at being tricked by the Fatui, but he could never again return to his homeland. His sole
Was-
wish
no,
was
what's
to
next?
one
Mortal
day return
Kombat
his
to
single,
fucking 13 is gonna get
proudest
announced.
creation back to the land of his birth. So
Wow,
he
I'm very
instructed this
surprised about
sentient
the
blade to
Hades
find
Oh,
a way
and we're in a
back to
female
Inazuma,
protagonist.
no matter how
Oh.
long or how
Time to
far
go
the
spend
journey.
some money on some games, bitches! It's
He never
fine.
wished
I can
to
spend my
right
Christmas
the
money.
wrongs.
My not
All
exist.
he
Actually,
wanted
fuck
to
it.
show
Birthday
was that
money
they once
that I
shone
did not get.
brilliantly as Blade and Smith. That they were still worthy of being
Excuse me?
trusted.
So that's the true story.
What's the
Like,
matter?
After that, the
What?
blacksmith's intentions were worked by the Tatarigami, slowly turning his
I'm looking
proud
directly.
creation into the cursed
Still,
blade
fuck.
of today.
That's hot.
Right. I believe the bladesmith
Let's see if
might
there's a
never
Zelda
have known
trailer.
that the power he worked with was that of the
There is a new
Tatarigami.
Zelda trailer?
No, it's like one of
The
those
hatred
jokes.
within that power is what sent the blade down its ill-fated path.
Again, stop
This
staying
blade has
attention.
committed unforgivable
Cosmo, I love you, but
atrocities, but only because it lost its original master. No
Can I
one
still
was
get a
there
threesome
to
in that game?
correct its errors when it was losing its way.
can I still get it?
Shame it's
That's,
too
I mean, that's
late
expected.
now.
Christopher Judge of God of War
Yes.
Ragnarok just won Best Performance.
too
Makes
late.
sense.
Time would not wait or stop because of his
Oh my god, are we using a
determination.
sickle? Or a
While the world moved
scythe?
on,
Like a, whatever the
his
fuck
ambition
that's
It's
called.
remained
probably, like,
stubbornly
multiple weapons
stuck
still.
at that fleeting moment at the dawn of his journey. He seems to have
I
calmed
still
down.
have yet to
though.
beat Hades because I suck at
Let's
video
go and
games.
check in.
There's already a new Bayonetta as well. What the fuck?
Whoa, that's weird.
God damn! Bro! Let the bitch!
When I look back at the past,
Still never
I
good
can
if the
remember
fucking
the day
Al
of my
Pacino was there.
fortune like it was just yesterday.
What?
I once told him that I would pay any price to fulfill his wishes. Such was the debt I owed to him for giving me the gift of consciousness.
Yeah, I was like, I haven't even played the original Hades. I might as well just go fucking, just go buy that shit in a little bit.
Time I lost sight of the difference between gratitude and grudge. Not only did I fail to fulfill his ambition, I also defiled it.
You are finally seeing reality
Okay.
clearly.
Since we agreed to the terms of the bet, I will honor the agreement.
I want to see the live
and
chat for
release
this shit.
Ame no Mayuya. But I still cannot bring myself to forsake his ambition. It is the entire purpose for my existence. So, may I ask you to help me fulfill the ambition?
Hey! Now you're adding yours into the mix.
It has to be done in this
Paimon,
order.
shut
At
the
least
fuck
my
up.
physical
She's gonna,
form,
no,
as
she
well as
says
the
something in the
knowledge I
scare moose thing that
possess,
pisses me the
still
fuck
be
off
some
even more.
value to you.
So I'm actually like wanting to slap the shit out of Paimon.
Grown a lot milder. What do you think, Kazuha?
Cause he says a
Should we
thing
give him
to
a chance?
Nikita. I know I'm spoiling
Let's
this
hear
for
it.
you, and I'm so sorry. But
Thank
he
you
like
all.
says something to Nikita, and he's like, "You're gonna trust
When
the
I
travel
was
over me," and
first
he's like, and
forged
Paimon
by
goes,
making
"Yeah,
the
she will. Don't
Lord
listen to him.
permanent,
He's trying to change you, bitch."
He told me that he had wanted
That is like
me
the
to
that is
have
really
the
all I have left. There's no
grandest
cutscene knowledge.
opening battle.
That is a very
Yes.
nice.
After that, he never rose from his sickbed again. Nor have I ever had the chance to prove myself in battle since. My fights were devoid of any noble meaning. They were merely the next step in my never-ending
So looks
journey.
like it looks like the Bayonetta game
The
is
next in
a
long line of transgressions.
like an
You
Origins,
are a fine warrior. I would like
which
to
is
request
gonna be
your
funny because I
hand
don't think
in
they're gonna
battle.
hire the original voice actress because
Experience
she
a true
fucked up.
duel between samurai.
Yeah, she did.
Oh. And who would be the opponent?
I will release Ame no Mayuya and restore his consciousness. He must have plenty of reasons to both hate me and desire a good fight.
Understood. Then let's start by waking him up and seeing if
Oh my god.
I see. He used my body. I utterly despise him and his actions. If a duel can help to set, I do not wish to be a mere victim in this story.
There's no need to.
Thanks for your help.
All right, then let's move on. More Ronin could appear in any case for
Oh my god. There's more fighting. Yeah, give me that shit. I mean, I'll take the Electro Sigils. I need more. I literally only need 9 more to complete the tree, and then I'm...
Wow.
When I told you I fucking grinded one day, I fucking did not leave. I'm sorry. I think that should be proof enough that I have 100% in the fucking desert. No anywhere else. The fucking desert!
B. Oh, I guess it's time.
Literally.
But when I give you your shot, you will be lovey and...
Don't meow, you know we're right.
love is performative.
Ow.
You want this thing? You have stink breath. Stinky kitty breath, that's what you have.
Ah, son of a bitch.
What do you expect?
Oh, there's two of you. Did not expect that to happen.
Rest and rebuild.
Oh, the thing's over there.
What time are you getting up?
Let's move out.
Rough estimate around like 7.
Oh. For some reason, I thought it was like super early.
No. Because I don't have to be, we're leaving at like... Get the fuck out of here. We're leaving at 8, so it's like I literally can just get up for a nap. Like, get up. Because I'm probably just gonna leave in the clothes I, no offense, like fall asleep in. Because I want to be comfortable on an 8-hour fucking car ride. We're not giving a cat drugs, she's diabetic. Before anyone says some shit. I have to preface this every time because there's new people. I'm 100% positive I've not done this. Hell yeah.
If it's useful, I'll take it.
Give me that. Thank you. On our way again.
Just like this. Look at that. Oh, you bit me, little piece of garbage.
I thought you were about to call her a bitch.
No, I wasn't. Oh, there's still a little left. I'm not gonna risk that. That wasn't nice. That was so mean of you. She was begging for it. She was rubbing her cheeks against the needle before I
This
opened the
reminds
cap.
Paimon a bit of the
And then
Crux
when I put
Crash.
it in her like she wanted me to do, she was like, oh, how did you do this?
Are you ready?
Ready? Okay. Successor of Ishin art.
Successor of Amenoma art.
Honored to cross blades with you.
It is my honor also.
Damn, that was actually kind of professional. Please tell me.
Into the wind.
Oh, that should have honestly killed me.
One with nature. Into the wind.
Gotta be honest, the blade ain't doing shit.
Time to go.
Sit.
The wind moves. Fallen leaves. Adorn my night. One with nature. Into the wind.
We went so far.
Thank you for the experience. Although he appears battered and broken, in your hands it seems he's regained a glimmer of brilliance. His sense of savage cruelty has completely faded away. But that same sense of determination remains strong.
You also fought well.
I'm
sure
sorry,
he
they had
values your
Hoser?
experience. There are a few things that
They
I should
had
leave him to
what
do
now?
himself.
I must apologize
Oh
to
my
you
God.
for all that has transpired.
You need not seek my forgiveness, nor do I have the right to forgive you on your victim's behalf. It is too late for all of that.
I do not wish for forgiveness. I only hope
That
that you will see
combined with
my
something you said
transgressions
earlier
as
just
mine
reminded me
alone,
of something.
and not let them stain
you know
the
those
legacy of
in the new
Ishin
Pokemon game, right?
art.
Yeah.
I
The
strayed
first
far
mod
from the
to
straight
come
and
out
narrow
for that
path,
game
but the
was
Ishin
to get rid
art
of the
still
end
has
credit
a
song.
worthy
You wanna know
successor
why?
in Kaedehara
The
Kazuma.
mod is called Remove
beseech
Ed
you.
Sheeran.
God.
Please understand this.
Yes, I too trust Mr. Kaedehara to do the right thing.
I fucking love the internet.
Successor.
I love how we all come to a mutual agreement of fucking hating Ed Sheeran.
This blade has also told me that he has another wish. He would like to visit the
Oh, here
Elder
comes one of
West.
my favorite cutscenes out of a
See, we can
story.
go back there together.
Child still has one of my like all-time favorite story cutscenes.
That's right.
I'm not sure,
That's right.
but I think that all this is about to come to an end.
Does she deserve her meat stick today?
No, she bit you. She only gets temptations.
Oh, you hear how sad she sounded for that?
Good.
But I already took it out.
And whose fault is that?
She didn't do anything mean to you, did she?
She woke me up.
She does that to everybody.
Oh my god.
You have to eat it like this. You can't take it from me. Can you do it?
Okay, shit.
What?
Her meow of just let me have it, you cunts.
She's so intensely looking this right now.
It's Yuya!
Oh
You
my
have
god.
returned.
I am sorry to have troubled you. It's
You
all
try
thanks to
to
them
bite
that
it.
I was able
You
to
don't have
return
to lick
safely.
it.
She's like, no. I'm gonna savor this.
Oh my god, she's so cute. Oh, get it!
A prized
Get it.
Ishin blade.
I'm not trying.
weapon
I
that
can tell you're
controls
not
the
trying.
human
If
mind.
you really wanted to take this from me, you would.
Considering their forging philosophy, this was indeed within the realm of possibility. This is a great pity.
God, you're
But
Oh,
I
best
have some
debut
good news
indie.
as
Hold
well.
up.
Ryuji from the Bonton Sango Detective Agency tells me that they've found the missing Mr. Nagato.
Really? Is he okay?
Yes, badly wounded, but he will live.
I
And
fucking
now that
missed all
Yuya
of the
is
games,
back,
so I don't know what just
it
won.
seems like the final ending to this story is a happy one after all.
I think I know what you want to do.
What's wrong, Kazuha? Is the blade whispering in your ear again?
Yes. He said he
Oh,
wants
there's
to
a new
take
free
control of
skin
me for a brief moment.
dropping on Among Us.
Oh, how cool.
No way!
I fucking just missed it! They just said what game won!
He tells me that he's thought of another way to fulfill his maker's wish.
Fuck!
And he assures me that he won't
Can you
use my
drop it?
body
Stray
for
one.
anything nefarious.
Yay!
I've decided
They won
to
best
let him
indie
do
game.
it.
Nice.
I had a feeling. The man, the myth, the legend. I need to buy Stray.
Thank
It's
you.
gonna be that one in Hades.
I
I'm
will
gonna buy
explain
it.
my
I've been meaning
reasons
to.
later.
When I tell you
Okay,
that I've not seen a single
ready.
gameplay of Stray,
let us begin.
Oh, no!
Please.
I've not seen a
Stay true
gameplay
to
or
your
anything
promise.
like that because I wanted to play it. I just fucking got to school and I just completely forgot to buy it. Yes, this.
My power is almost spent. Without him, my eventual demise.
The sword was the only thing done the entire time.
But if I abandon the future to give everything
Like
I
it
have
aesthetically
in this
fits him,
moment,
and like it does like the
this
same
will
thing
only
he
be
does.
forged
It
in
just
the
doesn't do anything for him. It's his weapon. It just doesn't do shit. Concerned Traveler is my favorite traveler. Him with purple eyes kind of hits though. I'm not gonna lie. See, this is one of my favorite cutscenes.
You were right. There's nothing that I can accomplish now. But there's still a chance for Ishin art. Once remade, I will be a valuable resource for your studies.
It's one of my favorites.
I love
Ishin lives
that.
on, and its finest hour is yet to come. Even if I am not the one to
No,
prove its
scratch
worth
that.
to the Shogun,
It goes
as long as it
Miko's
is in
for my favorite because I
Ishin's
forgot her. No, her ending. Her ending is so fucking pretty.
hands.
Then it's Child's, and then it's Raiden's, and then his. I need to make an actual list.
Wish. Thank you, son of the Kaedehara clan. Over the years, my real name has been forgotten by all. I'm ashamed to utter it, yet it remains strong in my mind.
Oh my god, Fall Guys X Gear of War crossover debates tonight.
It's now yours to keep.
See? It fits him! It's his fucking sword! They just made an attack! Which pisses me off!
So, that his consciousness will.
Kagotsurube Ishin. It was the first time I ever heard his name. It seems like deep down he disapproved of his own actions, and thus chose to bury this name deep within his heart. Only in the final moments, before his consciousness
She didn't take the
faded,
cat's
was
side.
he willing to entrust it to another.
Seems like he really, really wanted to fulfill his maker's wish.
The same fervent ambition gave him the
Again,
motivation to
I
keep
played the
going
cutscene,
forward.
and that's all. Welcome back
Also
to me
fueled
looking
the
on Twitter.
stubborn determination that
This
blinded
is a
him
fucking.
to the
What the
path
hell is
ahead.
that?
Speaking
Oh,
for
this is for the new Suicide game!
I'd rather
Suicide
see
Squad
him
game.
recognize and atone for his mistakes than see him punished
Oh
for
my god, we have an actual trailer for the game.
What game?
The Suicide Squad game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought we already had one.
We had a small teaser trailer, but this is like a full trailer. Is that Flash? Did they just beat the shell of the Flash?
No.
Oh yeah, they did. Well, to be fair, this makes sense because technically I think they're fighting the Injustice League.
Oh yeah,
I
they're
understand.
evil in that, aren't they?
Perhaps
Yeah,
this is a
Superman
flaw
straight
in
up
my
kills a man.
personality. I've
Yeah, I
always
forgot
been
about that.
captivated by grand aspirations.
Not very.
Hearing
no.
his wish to rival the divine light,
Now, are you sure
touched
that's
something
Barry?
inside of me.
That could be
Just as the
Wally
sight
West
of
or
those who fought
anyone
to
really.
repeal the Vision Hunt decree did.
Is he just gonna fall for it?
Your quest to face the gods and trace your sibling inspires me in the same way. After everything I've seen, perhaps these
I know I should be
pursuits
paying
will
attention to this.
serve
This is so much more entertaining. I don't even have audio playing.
Kazuha?
I will continue to support you from this point
Who is
on.
about?
Know
Oh,
that you
shit.
Have my assistance.
Are we gonna actually see Batman kill people?
No.
I think we are. I'm pretty sure that's Bruce.
No.
I saw the iconic cape. Oh, he dead as hell. Oh, he dead as hell. Hold on, this is actually important. Oh shit! Batman killed a man.
Bro, the lighting.
Batman killed a man.
Awesome.
Batman killed a man. Why are his eyes purple?
No.
Okay, good to know that they're being controlled because his eyes are fucking purple. Alright, Batman just straight up killed a man. Good to know.
Obviously, he's being controlled. Batman would never kill anyone. Unless you're freaking that awful freaking series.
Injustice?
Yeah, no.
Wait,
Oh.
What is it? No, he doesn't kill anyone in Injustice.
Killing?
Oh,
No, it's not killing Joker.
Right.
Or it's not the last laugh.
We need to tell him about the findings. Of
But
our
yeah, his
investigation.
eyes are fucking. You can see
And
the
it's
purple
also
in
time
this.
to give him a
Let's talk
response
about
to
the
the offer he
stupid
made.
DCEU. Those movies.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Those fucking sucked. But yeah, that looked cool. But Batman straight up just snapped the dude's neck. You don't see it, but if you've ever seen, you know, any game where someone snaps a dude's neck. What?
You got everything you wanted. What now?
She's like, I
You've
want my
returned.
plastic.
I hear that the issue has been resolved. Though this was a treacherous investigation indeed, we're most fortunate that no lives were
Who
lost.
invited Al Pacino?
The Tenryou Commission has already attended to the danger at the warehouse. The investigation into Amanome Yuya should conclude soon. I do not believe he will be charged with anything.
Oh, that hurt! I didn't realize to thank you, Kevin, at the end.
your ear to the ground.
Who's Kevin?
I
Then
think
we
he's the
needn't
reason
recount
Batman
all the
voice actor who
details
passed
again.
away.
Now,
I think that's him.
as to your earlier offer,
Yeah, it
I wish
is.
to give you my answer. Please take a look at this blade.
Yeah.
What's this?
Dang.
Kagotsurube Ishin. A weapon crafted
Oh.
using a long-lost blade
Whoopsie.
forging art of the Kaidahara clan. By means
short
of a
man needs his
series of
things.
fortuitous events,
I love how that
I
was honestly
able
supposed to be the
recover
goal of
and
this.
restore
Yeah.
him. I also promised him that I will continue to study and pass on the secrets of
Oh yeah,
Ishin
he was the voice for Batman
And
one
so,
last time in
it
the,
looks like
in the
I will
Suicide
likely
Killing the
continue
Justice League
with my
game.
journey
So
across
that's
the
why.
nations, learning more about this blade as I go.
I see. I understand.
The Kaidahara clan has always been a family of bladesmiths, so it is only proper for me to continue on this path. Were I to accept your goodwill, I may find myself embroiled in conflicts between the shogunate and Sangonomiya. That would not suit me.
You misunderstand. That was most certainly not our intent.
I am aware, but I still desire to continue walking my own path.
Very well, I can understand. Then let's pretend this offer was never raised. However, if you should ever change your mind or find yourself in need of the Shogunate's assistance, please do not hesitate to inform me.
Great. Thank you for your generosity.
Where will you travel to next, Kazuha?
I'll probably take to the seas with Captain Beto again for now. As for my next destination, let's see where the wind takes me.
You must have a... Like, about these descenders. So, does that just mean people like you who come traveling to Teyvat from someplace else? And as for your brother... Whew, so many questions. Let's go find Nahida and see what else we can find out. Access denied. Allow me.
Useless! Foreign! Useless! Disappear! Worthless! Here!
No touching. Right now. Right here. Right now. here. Rest and rebuild. Access denied. For Rex Lapis. Right now. Right here. Right now. Useless. Lament.
Here! Worthless! Worthless! Here! Here!
Born of ice and frost. Emerge. Right here.
Evil conquering! Worthless! 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 Useless! Boring!
Next on the edge. Blaze over. Emerge.
Get out of my way! Useless! Boring! Lament! Worthless! Here! Worthless! Worthless!
Hold the line. Right. Emerge. Right now. No touching. Born of ice and frost.
Boring!
Rest and rebuild. Emerge. Right now. Right here. No touching.
Evil conquering! Here! Worthless! Here! Worthless! Here!
We're way behind schedule.
time. My parents have called, but that's all I wanted to do. I was gonna do stuff, but it's almost 9 o'clock. Alright, I have to go. I will be back in like a couple days. But go raid. Have a nice time. Goodbye.
Thank you.